training facilities. Lineage Watch Company, Fraser Farms Market, Rockin' Baja Coastal Cantina, Bada Fulkerson Law Group, Tarpey Plumbing, Heating and Air, Sinley Food, your San Diego County Toyota dealers, Kaiser Permanente, Hamul Casino, Jensen Meat, El Cajon Ford, Soapy Joe's Car Wash, Timber Tech, Grand Jetto's Farm and Garden Supply, Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, Sid's Carpet Barn, Ken Grody Ford, North County Transit District, and by the grilling store at Hillcrest Ace Hardware. Stay tuned for the Padres postgame show with Sam Levitt on the Padres Radio Network. The Padres Postgame Show on the Padres Radio Network. Coming up, we'll deliver a full recap of today's game, including highlights from the biggest moments. We'll take a trip down to the manager's office to hear from Mike Shildt. Plus, we'll bring you scores from around Major League Baseball. The Padres Postgame Show starts now on the Padres Radio Network.
Welcome into our post-game show here on the Padres Radio Network. A tough one in Cleveland as the Padres begin this 3-game series and a 9-game road trip. The final score, the Guardians 7 and the Padres nothing. Padres shut out on just 4 hits in this one. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Lot to do on our post-game coverage. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll also have all the radio highlights for you, recap this game in its entirety, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and much, much more to get to as the Padres drop to 50-50 here in 2024. So exactly 500 through 100 games, and the Guardians improve to 59-37. This game, not really indicative, the final score, of what it really was. The Padres trailed just 1-0 after 7.5 innings. Cleveland then scoring 6 runs in the bottom half of the 8th inning as things really unraveled on the Padres bullpen in that 8th inning. So what was the good from this game? Let's start with that. Little positive, right? Matt Waldron certainly was the good. He was great here tonight. 6+ innings, just 1 run given up, 6 hits. He walked nobody, struck out 5. And really, aside from his last 3 starts being a little shakier than what we've seen since early May, he picked up right where he left off here tonight as far as beginning the second half with what we saw for the most part from Waldron in the first half. So there's a little positive for you. What Matt Waldron did, you hope a sign of things to come. You hope a really good sign when it comes to what Matt Waldron does in the second half of the season. And we'll get into the 8th inning and how this game unraveled and all of that. That is certainly a part of this game. But let's be honest about it. Through the first 7.5 innings of this game, this was on the offense here tonight. The Padres had 4 hits total in the game, one of those hits coming in the 9th inning. Through innings 1 through 8, they had 1 at bat with a runner in scoring position. And look, Tanner Bybee is a good starting pitcher. He's not unhittable. And the Padres, again, they had 1 at bat with a runner in scoring position through the first 8 innings in this game. Tanner Bybee really effective, even though he threw a lot of pitches, 5 2/3 innings, no runs given up. And the unfortunate part of the offense tonight is that it does sort of bring you back to what the Padres did to end the first half offensively. If you go back and you look at what our keys to the game were here tonight. Key number 1, what was it if you were listening to the pregame show? It was get the offense going, start the second half on a high note offensively, and the Padres just did not do that at all here tonight. In the last 8 games, the Padres have lost 7 of their last 8. In those 8 games, going back to now well before the break, the Padres are only averaging 2.1 runs per game, and they have only 11 extra base hits in those 8 games. So the Padres as a whole, going back now 8 games, are just not scoring very many runs at all. So that is a major problem right now for this team. Offensively, unfortunately, here tonight, it just was sort of an extension of what we saw to end the first half, and you really hope that wouldn't be the case. And another theme offensively tonight that you don't love is that we've seen now in the span of a handful of games, the Padres just have some days where they're not stringing hits together at all like they did earlier in the season on so many occasions. You look at the last 7 games now for the Padres. Here today, like I said, 1 at bat with a runner in scoring position through 8 innings. They ended up going 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position through 9 innings here today. If you go back to a couple of the games on the homestand during this 8-game stretch, there was the July 9th game against Seattle, July 7th against Arizona. You might remember the Padres actually had back-to-back games where they did not have an at-bat with a runner in scoring position. It was the first time that it happened since, I believe, the 1970s. I'd have to go back and double-check just to make sure. But I think it was like 1974 was the last time that happened. Well, you think about it. So they had 2 games on the last homestand where they did not have an at-bat with a runner in scoring position. And then here tonight, as they begin this road trip, they have 1 at-bat with a runner in scoring position through 8 innings. So it's become somewhat of a little theme here in the last handful of games that is not a good one, where the Padres just have a few games in these 8 where they're just not doing really anything offensively at all as far as building innings, stringing hits together. Some of the things that, to their credit, through the first 90 or so games of 2024, they did really, really well. So again, the number comes down to this: 2.1 runs per game on average in this 8-game span, where the Padres have lost 7 of 8. So here tonight, we can talk about the bullpen, what transpired in the 8th inning. Certainly Matt Waldron was really, really good in this one, but it was a 1-0 game entering the bottom half of the 8th inning, and the Padres had 1 at-bat with a runner in scoring position. And look, that's just a tough way to win a game. So let's say the bullpen had been perfect in the bottom half of the 8th inning, but the Padres offense does the exact same thing here tonight. The Padres still lose this game. And to me, that's the reality of tonight's game, as the Padres again fall to 50-50 through 100 games, and to the start of the 9-game road trip, not off to a particularly great one, as the Padres lose 7-0. When we come back, we'll recap this game in its entirety. We'll also hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up in a little bit as well. Final score in this series opener in Cleveland: Guardians 7, Padres nothing. More post-game after this. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score in Cleveland: the Guardians 7 and the Padres nothing. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. As we wrap things up on our post-game coverage here tonight, Padres have now dropped to 50-50 through 100 games on the year. Guardians improved to 59-37. We told you pregame, the Guardians, they just don't lose very much at home, and it was again that way here tonight. Guardians improved to 31-11 11 in their home ballpark here in 2024, and we'll see if the Padres can bounce back tomorrow in Cleveland in the middle game of this 3-game set. Again, just to recap it before we hear from Mike Shildt, Padres trail just 1-0 in this game through 7.5 innings. It was only a 1-0 deficit heading into the bottom of the 8th inning. Things totally unraveled on the Padres bullpen when they went to Stephen Kolek to begin the bottom half of the 8th inning in a 1-0 game, and Kolek ended up giving up a bunch of hits. Austin Davis gave up a 2-run single. Sean Reynolds got 2 outs. He was not charged with a run in this game, but 6 earned runs total, 4 against Kolek and 2 against Davis. And like we alluded to in the opening segment, big part of the story here tonight, I think the main and key part of the story here tonight, was that the Padres only had 4 hits. They only had 1 at-bat with a runner in scoring position through 8 innings. And unfortunately, the continuation of what we saw for the most part in the final 7 games before the All-Star break, Padres have now lost 7 out of their last 8 games. And again, after being 6 games above 500, not all that long ago as far as games played, the Padres now are 50-50. And now in, well, let's be honest about it, some serious danger of going below 500 as soon as tomorrow. You hope not, certainly, but they've got a very, very tough road trip here that will continue with game 2 out of 9 on the trip tomorrow. So does not get much easier, and the Padres now at 50-50. Let's go back to Progressive Field in Cleveland. Here's some post-game reaction.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Mike, what do you think of the at-bats today? You worked some deep counts against Bybee, but weren't able to kind of break
I thought the at-bats were really good. You know, I mean, you had pitcher's duel going. Thought Bybee was good. Thought our bats were really good. Made him work. First inning, really good at-bats. You know, had some balls at people. Second inning, again, pretty good at bats, just the whole way, and we're able to, you know, get them out of there and get in their bullpen, which is pretty deep. But no, I thought the at-bats were good. We just couldn't get that big hit.
Disappointing given the effort you got from Waldron. What did you think of kind of what he was?
Oh my gosh, he was tremendous. He was fantastic, A+. I mean, threw the ball exceptionally well. Knuckleball was on. Other pitches were, you know, there to complement. In control the whole way. They were able to scratch a run. But man, he was terrific. And then Yuki came in, did his job. You know, did his part in the 7th, attacked and in the zone, and everything looked crisp. And then you know, clearly it didn't go as well.
For it to be as tight as it was for those 7 innings, what led to what happened in the 8th inning there? You think?
Well, I mean, it was a tight ball game. You know, you're down a run, so you know, we can't chase it with the guys we bring it home with. So it's an opportunity for, you know, we ended up walking a guy, hitting a guy, and but just couldn't get, you know, they put some swings on it. Man, he's trying to make a baseball play with the deke. He's lost his footing, but he's, you know, looking to make a heads up baseball play and deke him and try to get an out at a lead base. So you know, just got away from us. You know, they put some swings on us, some base hits. You know, then the hit batter and the wall clearly didn't help, and you know, they put up a big cricket number we couldn't overcome.
With all that you guys were able to do against Bybee and the hard hits, it's like your worst 7-game stretch on offense of the season.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. I mean, you know, listen, we don't run and out by the results, but we also need to take a step back and recognize how we get there. And you know, good approach. You know, good at bats. Just couldn't scratch. You know, this guy's he's their best guy, and you know, so it's clearly just discouraging. You want to be able to get those hits and be able to open the game up and get into their other side of their bullpen. But you know, bats are good and approach is good and competitiveness is there. That's all we can really ask. It's if that starts to waver, then we'll have an issue, but it won't.
Peralta is he okay?
Yeah, Roach came in, said, you know, he looks like he's checking out okay. They're going to, you know, obviously check him a little bit more, but, you know, I think he's going to be all right. So we'll see no more. Wait a little bit, AJ.
All right, that was Padres manager Mike Shildt after this 7-0 defeat at the hands of the Cleveland Guardians. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios as we continue our post-game coverage. And you heard Kevin Acee there say the worst 7-game stretch offensively of the season. And look, it's a good point. And with what I said in the opening segment, looking at the 8-game span where they're averaging 2.1 runs per game, that's being a little kind to this team right now, because if you want to actually take a smaller sample size and look at the last 7 games alone, that doesn't include the 5-run outburst they had against the Diamondbacks. That was the extra inning game during that last homestand, if you remember that. But if you don't include that game, then it's a span of 7 games where the Padres have only scored a grand total of 12 runs. That's under 2 runs per game, 1.7 to be exact. And just to give you an idea, the run totals, the last 7 games now for the Padres: 1 run, 3 runs, 0 runs, 1 run, 4 runs, 3 runs, and no runs here today. So in the last 7 games, the Padres have been shut out twice. They've scored 4 runs only once. Think about that for a second. A 7-game span, they've scored 4 runs once in a 7-game span. So that was the really deflating, I think is the right word, part of tonight, is that the offensive struggles, at least for tonight, it doesn't mean that the whole road trip or tomorrow is going to go like this. But the offensive struggles for tonight continued into the second half of the season. So that's a little bit deflating from this one. And look, again, I said it earlier. We'll talk about the 8th inning a little bit later and the decision to use Kolek instead of maybe, going to somebody who's been a little bit more high leverage in a 1-run game. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But the reality tonight is this. The game could have gone the exact same for the Padres offense, and let's say the Guardians only score that 1 run and that's it. Padres still lose this game. So, again, offensively, a lot of issues here tonight. Just 4 hits, just 1 at-bat with a runner in scoring position through 8 innings. And feels like that's where this game was won and lost tonight from the Padres side of things. When we come back, we'll recap this game in its entirety, play all the radio highlights you need to hear. Much more to come on our post-game coverage. Again, the final score, Guardians 7, Padres nothing. More post-game after this. Eureka Water SoCal, Padres pregame show, postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Let's restart this. Number one, it's not the pregame show, it is the postgame show. See, I'm still on all-star break mode, apparently. Final score here today, Guardians 7 and the Padres nothing. Today's game did indeed already happen. You are listening to our post-game coverage here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Tough one today for the Friars as they begin this 9-game road trip with a loss. They drop it again 7-0, a game that was really much closer than what the final score indicates, but a game that sort of got away from the Padres pretty late in this ball game. Let's recap this one with our game highlights.
What moments had the biggest impact on today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game recap on the Padres Radio Network.
The early story in this one, no doubt, the starting pitchers, they were great in the first half of this game. Matt Waldron for the Padres and Tanner Bybee for the Guardians, couple of young right-handers. Through the top of the fifth inning, Bybee had allowed just 2 hits and 1 runner on second base. Waldron had also allowed just a couple of hits, and he hadn't even allowed a runner to reach second base. That brought us to the bottom half of the fifth inning. We still had a scoreless game. David Fry led off with a single. He moved to second base on a sacrifice bunt. He went to third on a wild pitch. That set the table for Daniel Schneemann.
3-1 pitch from Waldron, line into center field. That's a base hit. Fry will come in to score. Schneemann going to try and stretch for 2. Merrill's throw not in time. An RBI double for the Chula Vista kid, and the Guardians have the first run of the night.
That was all Waldron allowed in the fifth inning. Bybee and Cade Smith combined for a scoreless top of the sixth inning. Waldron worked around a leadoff single on a stolen base in a scoreless bottom half. Smith then threw a 1-2-3 top of the seventh inning. Waldron allowed a leadoff single in the bottom half of the inning. He was done. Yuki Matsui, haven't really talked about this. He came in and struck out 3 in a row to get out of the inning. So it was still just a 1-0 Guardians lead. Hunter Gaddis worked around a 2-out single in a scoreless top of the eighth inning. We went bottom 8. Padres still down, just 1-0. Stephen Kolek trying to keep it that way. He could not. 2 singles, then a bunt popped up from Angel Martinez. Manny Machado couldn't field it cleanly. It ended up being a bunt single to load the bases with nobody out. Jose Ramirez was next.
Here's the 0-1 to Ramirez. Swung on, bounced up the middle, into center, and a base hit. Naylor has scored. Kwan is on his way. Throw from Merrill is coming. The tag. Oh, he had him, but the ball came out. Higashioka went to apply the tag. Had he squeezed it, Kwan would have been out. But the ball trickled behind home plate. 2-run score, and the Guardian lead is 3-0 as Jose Ramirez cashes in the opportunity.
That was it for Kolek. Austin Davis came in. He hit a batter to load the bases again. He walked a batter. That brought in a run to make it 4-0. After Davis got the first out, the Padres went to righty Sean Reynolds. Reynolds gave up a 2-run single to Brian Rocchio to make it 6-0. A sac fly for Tyler Freeman made it 7-0. Cleveland putting together a 6-run bottom half of the eighth inning against 3 Padres relievers, Kolek, Davis, and Reynolds. Kolek getting charged with 4 runs, Davis getting charged with 2. And that was about the story here today. Nick Sandlin pitched a scoreless 9th inning, and that was the ball game. 7-0, the Guardians win it over the Padres. And with the win, the Guardians improved to a record of 59-37. Padres dropped to 500, 50-50 through 100 games. Final totals: Padres no runs on 4 hits, no errors. Guardians 7 runs, 11 hits, and 1 error. Padres left on a grand total of 6 in this game. They only had 2 at-bats with runners in scoring position. They went 0 for 2 in those situations. Meanwhile, the Guardians went 4 for 9 with RISP. They left 5 on base. Matt Waldron took a tough luck loss. He's now 5-9. Tanner Bybee the win. He's 8-4. When we come back on our post-game coverage, we'll start to get you involved. If you want to get a phone call in, you can do that at 833-288-0973. Again, the phone number, 833-288-0973. Number to call if you want to chime in, sound off on what was a frustrating night for the Padres. And, of course, if you want to get involved on social media, you can do that as well. Tweet at me at Sammy Lev, SAMMYLEV. Instagram DM's open as well. Sammy Lev there, too, SAMMYLEV. You can also comment on the video streams as well, YouTube or Facebook. If you want to chime in there, we'll address some of those as we go along as well. Again, the final score, Guardians 7, Padres nothing. Your phone calls, the out-of-town scoreboard, and more after this. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score, Guardians 7 and the Padres nothing. Padres lose the series opener in Cleveland, the opener of a 9-game road trip to Cleveland, Washington, and Baltimore. 100 games in now, and the Padres sort of where you feel like they should be, if we're being honest about it. If you've watched, listened to every game of this season, the up and down nature, the roller coaster, the seesaw, whatever adjective, analogy you want to use, it's kind of felt like a 50-50 season. Ups and downs, and even with all that said, the Padres still right in the thick of things as far as the National League wild card race. And now that we're in the second half, I think we're in the time of year where each and every night will sort of tell you where they are as far as the wild card race, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. We'll also get to some of your phone calls here in a second. 833-288-0973. Again, 833-288-0973, the phone number to call. Let's tell you about tonight's relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher was able to come in and slam the door shut? It's time for the relief pitcher of the game in support of the Jacobs and Cushman San Diego Food Bank, providing food assistance to local children, families, and seniors in need. To get help or give help, visit SanDiegoFoodBank.org.
3-2. Freeman takes on the inside corner. Strike 3 called. Matsui comes out of the bullpen and strikes out all 3 guys that he sees. Fry is left at first base.
Yuki Matsui, our relief pitcher of the game here tonight. We keep it on the Padres side of things, and to be honest with you, I think Yuki, regardless, win or loss here tonight, very deserving of this. He was great. Struck out all 3 batters he faced after he replaced Waldron in the 7th inning, dealt with a runner on, got Jimenez, got Noel, a big power hitter, and got Freeman. Struck out all 3 and kept it at the time a 1-run game. And look, I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit more about it here in the final couple of segments. The Padres, when you talk about keys to the second half, I think one of them is somebody or two people, at least one, stepping up and being really consistent and good out of this bullpen. And I mean beyond the trio of Estrada, Suarez, and Morahone. They need guys. They need somebody like Yuki Matsui to step up and be really good and be really consistent. And you hope, fingers crossed, that was the start of that here tonight for Yuki Matsui. He was great. That was, to be honest with you, that was one of the better appearances I think Matsui's had all year. Just getting pitches by guys, striking guys out, challenging hitters. I thought he was great here tonight. So despite the loss, I thought Matsui very deservingly is tonight's relief pitcher of the game. Kept it a 1-run game in a big spot in the 7th inning. So Yuki, our relief pitcher of the game here tonight. All right, let's go to the phones. 833-288-0973. Again, 833-288-0973. We lead things off here tonight with Ryan calling in from San Diego. Hi, Ryan. You're on the Padres postgame show.
Hey, Sandy. Tonight was just a very discouraging night because I thought with the start of the second half, I thought they were going to be able to turn it around, and clearly they didn't do that tonight. And I feel like you can't win when you don't score.
Mm-hmm.
And I might be wrong on this, but I feel like when Machado is struggling, everybody's struggling. When Machado is, being, his MVP version of himself, the Padres are just overall a way better team than what they are right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ryan, good call and fair points all the way around. I mean, look, Manny tonight 0 for 4. Profar 0 for 4. Bogarts 0 for 4. Merrill 0 for 4. When those guys all go 0 for 4, it's going to be a tough game to win and probably a tough night for your offense. So the point about Manny and others, I think you have to include in there as well. I think is well taken. And look, not a great night. And I said, I think I used the word earlier, deflating, right? Whether you want to say deflating, discouraging, whatever. Look, the part of it here tonight where it was really discouraging, deflating, again, whatever word you want to use, was the fact that the offensive struggles continued from what we saw at the very end of the first half into the start of the second half. Now, in the big picture, does that mean much? I don't know. They could come out tomorrow and score 15 runs. I don't know. But you were hoping, I think, if you're a Padres fan, that, okay, you got 4 days off, sort of reset things offensively, get back to work, look more like the offense they've been for the majority of the first half, and that just simply did not happen tonight. And the Padres did not string hits together. They really did not create opportunities. Again, they had one at bat with a runner in scoring position through 8 innings. So that was not great here tonight. That was not super encouraging here tonight. Does it mean a whole lot in the span of the next 62 games? Probably not, but didn't feel great tonight. Felt like they sort of picked up right where they left off in a not so good way. So we'll see if they can bounce back offensively tomorrow. The other aspect, and we haven't really touched on it, and I do think it's an important aspect of this game, was that the Padres trailed 1-0 going into the bottom half of the 8th inning. And, in that spot, you could have went to Morahone or Estrada, who are your two primary setup guys in just a 1-run game. And keep in mind, the Padres do have an off day on Monday, so it's not like they're going to play, 11, 12, 13 games in a row here. You do know that you have the off day coming on Monday. Look, if you're a Padre fan out there and you were thinking to yourself, I really would like Morahone or Estrada in here just to try to keep it a one-run game. I know the Guardians have a great closer in Clase waiting for the ninth inning, but you're trying to keep it a one-run game there. I get it. Look, I think I get two perspectives on it, which is, number one, if you are somebody saying, hey, even in a one-run game, we're at the time of year where you want to see, your highest leverage guys in that spot. I get it. I also get, if I'm Mike Shildt and I'm the Padres, of a couple of things on the other side of the argument, to play devil's advocate and be fair. Number one, Kolek has been good. And number two, the Padres sort of need somebody, like I said earlier about Matsui, they need other guys to be able to go get outs. I mean, you can't operate a bullpen, even in close games, just using three guys day in, day out. Now, if you're saying, well, it's not the spot for it because of the off day Monday, because of the fact that you have a totally fresh bullpen, I understand that. And I probably would side with you on that you got to find a way to keep it a one-run game there. But I do understand the thinking, the other side of it, of saying, okay, Kolek's been good, and you're searching for other guys to be able to go get outs in big spots and keep it a close game, and you had already used Matsui. And look, if you are trying to stay away from Estrada and Morahone there, well, then it's a hard question of who else you're bringing in, because I would assume it's not going to be Logan Gillespie. It's not going to be Sean Reynolds, who are both brand new young right-handers. Look, De Los Santos has certainly had his struggles. You look outside of that, and it kind of falls to Kolek. And remember, Wandy Peralta is now on the IL. So, again, if you were going to go outside Morahone and Estrada there, I understand why it was Kolek. I also understand if you're out there thinking, maybe that's a spot where you do go to Morahone or Estrada, even though you're not leading and you have the off day on Monday. Look, it's not what they elected to do, and the inning unraveled and the game sort of got away. So, look, hindsight is always 20/20, and certainly with the way it all transpired, did not go well, the decision to bring in Kolek and then what happened with the 6-run 8th inning. Before we get back to your phone calls, let's quickly pause for station ID on the Padres radio network.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Hi, this is Luis Camposano. The Padres play here on San Diego's #1 station, 97.3 The Fan.
An Odyssey Sports Station.
Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Again, the final score here tonight, Guardians 7, Padres nothing, as the Padres drop this series opener. Back to the phones we go. It's Doug in San Marcos calling in. Hi, Doug.
Hey, how you doing, Sam?
Doing well.
All right, look, man, I'm really tired of looking at the pitching and the backup and all that good stuff. But you know what, man? We got to hit the ball, and we're not. There's no hitting, and every team in the league has to face the same pitchers we're facing, and they have success. So explain that to me. I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
Well, look, Doug, I wish I could. If I were a hitting guru, I'd dive into it. I'm not. Okay, I would like to think an intelligent baseball fan. Look, but you're right in this sense, Doug. The offense has not been good. Last 7-8 games. I said the numbers earlier. Last 7 games, they're averaging under 2 runs per game. The last 8, it's just over 2. There have been a few games in that span where they just don't have any opportunities really with runners in scoring position. They've got to wake this offense up. It's critical. I mean, look, when you talk about the injuries they're dealing with and some of the starting pitchers they're without right now, they have got to get this offense going, and especially on this trip. You can't wait a few more days. You can't wait a week. Not with this road trip. Got to get the offense going. And that was a disappointing part of tonight, no doubt. Got to get this offense going. And again, one thing that we gave this team a lot of credit for many times during the first half is we gave them a ton of credit for very often being able to put together big innings and string hits together and find ways to create rallies even when they're trailing. And we have just really not seen that in the last 7-8 games going back to before the break. And you know what? Look, I said about Kolek, he had been in the midst of a good run. Look, he did have the outing against Atlanta right before the break, where he gave up 3 runs in an inning. That was Sunday, the Darno home run, if you remember that, against Atlanta. So look, I take a little bit back what I said before that outing. He had been good. And I see a YouTube comment saying, basically, Kolek had one good week. I just want to, I try to be fair, and it's really not true. I mean, if you go back to the start of June, he's actually, aside from the last 2 outings, and I can't ignore the last 2 outings, he's actually been really good. Now, again, does that mean you use him instead of Estrada or Morejon? I probably go to Estrada or Morejon there, to be honest, and try to desperately keep it a 1-run game, even though you've got Emmanuel Clase waiting in the 9th inning. And more so, I think because you have the off day on Monday. So, look, maybe you roll the dice a little bit and say, hey, I'm okay maybe if I can't use both Morejon and Estrada in both of the games coming up in this series. Look, they rolled the dice a little bit and didn't go to Morejon or Estrada. They went to somebody who's been relatively good aside from the game on Sunday in Kolek. It didn't work out, and the game got away. But again, to me, the 8th inning is not the main issue in this game. To Doug's point on the phone call, it was the offense, right? I mean, again, had this game gone exactly the same way offensively, but the Guardians score 1 run, the Padres still don't win this game. Let's go to Josh calling in from San Diego. Hi, Josh.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing great.
So I got to actually give the Padres some props to keep it at 1-0. And for Mike Shildt, it's just a bad role because you're playing a team that's lost only 11 games at home, and you're down 1-0 in the 8th. There's not much you can do there except for just change out your pitchers, which is what he did. I mean, Kolek has been at least, a nice fill-in. But, again, 8th inning, you're down 1-0. That's a win for the Padres based on how their season's going.
Yeah, Josh. I mean, look, and appreciate the phone call. Look, again, I understand trying to stray away from Morejon and Estrada. I do. I understand the thinking. They went to Kolek and it didn't work out. It was single. Now, look, he didn't get helped out on the bunt with Manny, who, didn't make a good play on it. And it dropped in, and then he went to the ground, and he got nobody. And that's a play, and Manny knows this, and I'm sure would say this, that's a play where he's got to get an out there one way or the other. And instead of having 2 on with 1 out, which gives Kolek a much better shot to get out of that inning, bases loaded, nobody out, and then you've got Jose Ramirez coming up, and he gets Kolek for a 2-run single. Just like that, it goes from a 1-0 game to a 3-0 game, and then the inning really unraveled from there. They went to Kolek. It didn't work out. Ended up being a really big inning and allowed this game to get away and really did not give the Padres a chance at all to rally in the 9th inning in a game maybe they would have been down 1-0. So, look, offensively, a lot of issues. The 8th inning, obviously, a lot of issues in that inning as well for how it ultimately transpired. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you what's going on around the major leagues.
Let's take a trip around the bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
Finals from around baseball today. Diamondbacks beat the Cubs 5-2 in Chicago. Pirates beat the Phillies 8-7 in Pittsburgh. Nice win for the Pirates. They win it in walk-off fashion on a Nick Gonzalez walk-off RBI single. Nationals beat the Reds 8-5 in D.C. Keibert Ruiz, a 2-run home run in that game for the Nats. Yankees beat the Rays 6-1 in New York. Juan Soto hit what we like to call a Little League home run. So not an actual home run in that game for Soto, but he came all the way around on couple of errors in that game. Also, Anthony Volpe, a bases clearing double in that game for the Yankees as they beat the Rays 6-1. Tigers beat the Blue Jays 5-4 in Toronto. Marlins beat the Mets 6-4 in Miami. Jake Berger a home run in that game for the Fish. Orioles beat the Rangers 9-1 in Arlington. Anthony Santander a couple of home runs in that game for the Orioles. Royals beat the White Sox 7-1 in Kansas City. Bobby Witt Jr. a home run in that game for KC. Games going on right now. Rockies 6, Giants 3 in Colorado. 8th inning there. A's ahead of the Angels 6-2 in Oakland in the 5th inning. Red Sox and the Dodgers in LA. 4th inning there, no score. Astros 3, Mariners nothing in Seattle in the 4th inning. And we did have one postponement today. That was the Cardinals and the Braves in Atlanta. They will make that up as part of a doubleheader tomorrow. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Friday night. Guardians win it 7-0 over the Padres, and when we come back, we'll continue to break down this game, get you ready for tomorrow. If you want to squeeze a phone call in, you can, 833-288-0973. More post-game after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here today. The Guardians 7 and the Padres nothing. Padres drop this series opener in Cleveland and the opener of this 9-game road trip. We'll get you ready for tomorrow in just a moment. Also may squeeze in another phone call or 2-833-288-0973. Let's tell you about today's player of the game.
Which player had the biggest impact on today's game? Let's find out who is today's player of the game. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Catch every game at Patties and Pints. Plus, enjoy $4 beer every Thursday. Visit valleyviewcasino.com today.
On 2 strikes from Waldron. Here's the pitch. And Naylor swings and misses. Strike 3. chased an elevated fastball, and Waldron ends the 6th inning with his 5th strikeout of the night. No runs, a hit. Kwan left at second base.
Player of the game here tonight. Will stay positive for this one again and keep it on a guy who, again, we said it with Matsui and relief pitcher tonight. Waldron deserves it. He was great. 6 innings, 1 run, 6 hits, 5 Ks, no walks. Take that every day of the week. Great outing today for Matt Waldron. Certainly pitched well enough to win. Took a very tough luck loss in this ball game. But for all those reasons, Matt Waldron, our player of the game, he was really good against a good team. Really good team. Team with the best record in the American League. So, again, good news here tonight. If you want to zoom out a little bit and pick out the positives, no doubt that Matt Waldron began his second half like he pitched for the most part in his first half of the season. And really good in command, knuckleball working, everything you want to see from Matt Waldron. So for those reasons, Waldron, tonight's player of the game. Certainly pitched well enough to win. That brings us to tonight's play of the game.
What was the crucial play that determined who came out on top? This is today's Play of the Game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
3-1 pitch from Waldron, line into center field. That's a base hit. Fry will come in to score. Schneemann going to try and stretch for 2. Merrill's throw not in time. An RBI double for the Chula Vista kid, and the Guardians have the first run of the night.
Play of the game here tonight, the Daniel Schneemann RBI double in the 5th inning gave the Guardians a 1-0 lead in this game. And guess what? They would not look back in this one. They would keep it 1-0 until the 8th inning when they exploded for 6 runs. But really, for the most part, you talk about how good Waldron was. The 1 RBI hit against him was that one from Schneemann. So for that reason, that Schneemann RBI double, our play of the game. Unfortunately, here tonight, that was the biggest blow in this one. Again, game got away from the Padres late. We understand that. But for the most part, that RBI double for Schneemann, that was the only run-scoring hit of the game, was the big hit of the game. So we'll see if the Padres can bounce back in the middle game of this series. We'll finish up with a phone call here in just a second. Before we do that, just a quick look at the National League wildcard picture, because now that we're in the second half and it's July 19th, I think it is that time of year where each and every night, pregame, postgame, we got to take a look at where the Padres are. So this is where they are right now, and yeah, everything's gone final with all these teams. So this is where they are right now. Mets have the final wild card spot at the moment, even despite losing tonight. They're 49-47. Diamondbacks, though, have pulled even with the Mets at 50-48, same winning percentage. So right now, the Mets and the Diamondbacks are tied for the 3rd and final wild card spot. The Pirates, who won tonight, they're a half game out behind New York and Arizona, and then the Padres a game out behind the Mets and Arizona. So again, the Mets and Arizona, they are tied for the 3rd and final wild card spot. Pirates a half game out on the outside looking in. Padres a game out. So look, 50-50, is it where you want to be? No. Through 100 games. You want to have a winning record. Is it where you thought the Padres would be after they were 6 games above 500 after that walk-off home run for Manny Machado? A couple of, well, really, was it a week ago? No, a couple of Fridays ago at this point. 2 weeks ago? No, you didn't think they would be 50-50 through 100 games. But even with that said, just to prove the point, and again, it's not a if the season ended today kind of thing, but look, with 62 games left to go, like I said, at the end of the first half on Sunday, like I said, I think at some point when I was filling in on Gwynn and Chris this week, everything is right in front of them for this team and attainable as far as making the postseason and beyond. It is right there for them. They've got to play well enough to do it, and they've got to play consistently enough to do it. And even though they're 50-50, a game out of a playoff spot, you hope they can continue to at least stay afloat till they get healthier and hopefully do a lot more than that as far as what they do on this 9-game road trip and the rest of July. All right, let's wrap up with a phone call. We go to Mike calling in from Carlsbad. Mike, you have the final word here tonight on the postgame show. What's up?
Well, my final word will be a question, Tammy. First off, I love your work that you do, which doesn't surprise me. You're a fellow New Yorker. But I see you grew up as a Met fan. Now, this must be tough for you to root for the Padres and be a Mets fan. How does that work with you, Sam? Because I'm 65 years old. I've been a Met fan since I was 10 years old, which was 1969. I moved out here in 94. I tried to root for the Padres, and I said, I can't take this. I got enough grief with my Mets. I can't root for two teams. So I want to know how you do it, Sam.
Mike, let me ask, where'd you grow up?
In Jersey City, New
Jersey City. Okay. Well, I grew up in Long Island. Mike, appreciate the phone call. I'll put it this way, okay? When you start working in baseball and working in this stuff, and look, this is my third season, with the Padres, covering the Padres, and but I've worked in the minor leagues for a long time before that, as I think a lot of you know. You put your fandom to the side. You're doing a job. You're professional. And I think that goes for everybody. To be honest with you, I think that goes for the players themselves. Like, you think players don't grow up being fans, mega fans, baseball lunatics? Of course they do, right? And fans of teams. I think it's just like a player. You start working in it, you put your fandom to the side, you got a job to do, and that's about it. So that's the way I treat it. You got a job to do, and everybody's got to grow up somewhere. And for the most part, if you do this job and you work in baseball and you work in radio or TV or whatever it is, right? You grew up a fan of somebody, right? You definitely, in most cases, you did. You grew up a fan of some team, and you probably were a really big fan. So my answer to that is, when you start working in the game, whether you're a reporter or a broadcaster or a player or a coach or a front office executive, you have a job to do. And you put, I think, whatever fandoms you had growing up to the side, and you do your job. And look, there's no doubt about it. My job is more fun. It is easier, quite frankly, when the Padres are winning, right? And when they're exciting and they're relevant and they do well. And the Padres have certainly been a very interesting team and very, very relevant during my time here. So, look, you're always going to pull for the Padres, and it's always, I think, as I saw, certainly like when I think about the 2022 run in the postseason, that makes the job fun, what it is. So, again, my answer, you got a job to do, just like a player does, just like a manager does, just like a coach does, a front office executive does. You have a job to do. You do your job, and you put your fandom, whatever you grew up with, to the side, and you do your job, and you try to do it to the best of your ability. And that's certainly what I try to do each and every night here on the post-game coverage. All right, taking a look ahead to tomorrow, same time, same place. First pitch tomorrow, 4:10 p.m. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show at 3:10. Right-hander Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres. Right-hander Gavin Williams on the mound for the Cleveland Guardians. Again, our pregame coverage will begin at 3:10 right here on the Padres Radio Network. As always, if you missed any of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast with Sam Levitt, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcast. You can also go back and watch any of our YouTube channel, or I should say any of our post-game show on our YouTube channel. Go to the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel, and you can catch up on whatever you missed there as well. Final totals here tonight for the Guardians: 7 runs, 11 hits, 1 error. They left on 5. For the Padres, no runs, 4 hits, no errors. They left on 6. Winning pitcher in this game, Tanner Bybee, who improves to 8-4. Losing pitcher, tough one tonight for Matt Waldron, who is really good. He drops to 5-9. Time of game, 3 hours and 1 minute, and the crowd at Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio, 37,242. Once again, first pitch tomorrow at 4:10. Pregame begins at 3:10. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Nick Danucci, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long and good night. Again, the final score here tonight, the Cleveland Guardians 7 and the San Diego Padres 0. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Padres Radio Network. Have a great rest of your night, everybody.